Everyone, I am here with the sophisticated man. How you doing today, my buddy?
I'm good, brother. Happy to be back on.
Yeah, I know. I'm happy to be back doing it on with you again too. It's been a minute.
hmm
So today we want to talk to you about like what you guys need to focus on besides women. And like it always happens, we always start the subject to talk about it, and then it goes in many different directions, which is always nice. So yeah, let's get rolling on this. So why do you think men have to focus on other things besides women? Because I know that can be, men make women like the primary focus of their life, and they kind of, I think, when they do that, they neglect things. So, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important because it gives you a base, it gives you a foundation of, self confidence, gives you a foundation of uh, productivity, improvement, and just really a focus outside of, trying to get a girlfriend or trying to, hook up or anything like that. It just sets you up for success because in my experience, I had that happen to me where, I only wanted to get girls and I had nothing else going on. And as
Mm-hmm.
a result, like I just felt miserable and like I didn't really feel fulfilled. I didn't really feel like super confident in myself as a
Mm-hmm.
man. And like that affects, your ability to actually go and meet and date women because they ultimately want to be with a guy who has other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Rather than
really,
just focusing on
other
women.
things. Yeah, exactly. Right, because they pick up on that. Like, when you do just focus on them, it's like you come off super needy, you come off, like, very controlling because like, that you want it to happen so bad because that's the only thing you have kinda happening for you. Um, so really, it's a huge thing for guys to focus on other things, mainly, like, your goals, improving yourself, improving your situation, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. Yeah, and that, and I totally agree with what you're saying because, like, I think when you kind of just make women the focus of your life and nothing else, like, yeah, that's going to show when you go out there, in your sub communication and stuff and your behaviors as well.
Mhm.
And I do believe, like, no, and also you got to like take the time to kind of focus on other things like in your life besides women, like your goals, like kind of your mindset, kind of looking ahead at what you want to achieve and all that stuff. Because I think I realize this too. Like when you take the time to do that, you actually feel better about yourself, and when you feel better about yourself, it just kind of shows in your behavior and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's a great point because, like, you're when you feel better about who you are and you feel good about what you're doing, it just comes off as more confident, comes off as more energetic, charismatic when you're actually interacting, not just with girls, but with people in general. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just feel better about yourself. People can kind of pick up on that. And they're like, wow, this guy's he's fun. He's good. He's a good time to talk to. And a lot of that is because you just feel good about who you are and what you're doing. And it's a totally different interaction, totally
Mm-hmm.
different vibe.
Right. No, that's true. That's right. And why do you think we kind of like why do you think we lose sight of that? Like, do
hmm
guys lose sight of like focusing on their goals and stuff because like they just focus on the women more than their themselves,
hmm
and they forget about that they actually have stuff they got to do, because I think that can be a
Yeah.
problem with some people.
I think there's a lot of reasons behind that. Um, I think maybe it's a combination of a bunch of different things, but one thing that sticks out for me is, and then something that we actually talked about on a previous stream was social conditioning. I think plays a big role. With
Mm-hmm.
like the media and music and just like the different things that are kind of pushed on us at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
especially with like you look at music like with love songs. You listen to all how the most popular songs, right? Like have always been love songs and have been about guys needing to be with a girl or how a guy's can't live without this one girl in his life and he needs to win her back or whatever it is, and that's usually like most of the popular love songs out there. Um, and they're popular for a reason because people, they think that that's how it really is in real life. Same thing can be said about movies and just like romance novels and all these different books, and it kind of pushes the same narrative of like a guy needs to have a girl in his life to feel happy, to feel like he's whole and complete. But the reality is when you do that, you're really hurting yourself, and you're really hurting anyone else you come in contact with, because that's an attachment that's not healthy. You need to learn how to be whole by yourself, and then add people to your life, add women to your life after the fact, um,
Hmm.
because it's like an extension of your happiness. It's not the main source of your happiness, and that's a
Hmm.
that's a big distinction.
No, you just said something good. Like you said that we're conditioned to like believe that we got to have a woman, we got to have someone in our life to make us feel whole. Why do
Hmm.
you think like it's weird? Why do you think I don't know. Do you think society even pushes that to like think about yourself at all? Like, or do you think they forget about that? I think like when you talk about society, I mean, just with like the conditioning and stuff, like it can affect you, help you can keep you from losing focus in like many ways. Because I mean, when you see like when you see like other people, like when society says you got to be like this or be like that, then you got to kind
Hmm.
of like lose track of who you are too, right? Don't you agree with that? But why? Also, I was going to
Right.
ask you too. Why do you think they just? I mean, I don't know if they do or not, but why do you think they just put content out there to help guys focus more on women rather
Hmm.
than focus on themselves? I mean, maybe even go into the spiritual practices such as Buddhism and stuff like that. Maybe someone can learn to discover who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's it can be a global issue really, because I think media as a whole, kind of like across the world, kind of does this. They really push the they push people to be very dependent on, on maybe it's the government, or maybe it's just outside sources for help, or just like things that are going to help improve their lives. And we're never really taught to kind of look at ourselves and look at what we can do to make our lives better, or what we can do just to make our health better, without having to pump ourselves with drugs, or have to take a certain pill, or do this, or go to a certain doctor. Like, I think that society does that in order to like basically keep you at the mercy of these big companies, or these certain government entities, because they kind of provide some of that for you. But if you are knowledgeable on your own, and you have that self knowledge, you have that awareness, you have um, a growth mindset, and you know how to like provide for yourself, well, it's like, well, you don't really need them as much because you know how to do it on your own. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons, is at least for the social conditioning aspect of what we're talking about. I
Hmm.
think it's because um, if you're too independent, then there's really no need for a lot of those entities.
Hmm. Right, and then so like society, you're saying probably like they kind of want you to become dependent upon things in society, and that's why they kind of like keep you from actually focusing on yourself and everything.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. It's just
Hmm.
when you're when you're dependent on something, on whatever it is, like a big company, or some government entity, or anything like that. It's you can't really uh, help yourself, because you don't have the tools to do so. But if you were taught that at a young age, or you learn it maybe later in life, you're like, man, I can do this on my own, I don't need any help.
Hmm.
You can learn to be more independent. But yeah, it starts there.
Right, exactly. I don't know. Do you think that like a lot of guys too just have trouble like being independent and everything? Like, do you see that in some of the people you talk with, or talk to your clients or friends like that, or people you might know?
Hmm. Yeah, I think more so today, in the state that we're in right now, with masculinity, and just where guys are as a whole. I think you see more of that now. Um, I've seen it with people that I know, like just friends, or just people that I've kind of observed friends of friends that I know, and a lot of them they're either very, very dependent on other people. Like they're the kind of people that they need to go out with friends or they need to do something with a friend or something because they don't feel secure enough with themselves to do things alone or to to just generally go do the things that they enjoy. They're more or less the I'll go along with what my friends are doing type of crowd instead of I'm just going to do what I want to do. And if people want to join me, great. If not, that's fine too. But I think you see a lot more of that now in society that guys are a little less independent, a little more dependent on people. Um, Mainly friends. I'd say it's mainly their other guy friends. They feel like they have to stick with what the crowd is doing, as opposed to breaking off and doing their own thing. But yeah, I'd see a lot of that now.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, and I agree with you. Like, it definitely like I think have to take time to like break away from your friends or other people and just kind of kind of do things on your own so you can develop that independence and everything. Like, I
Hmm.
remember like when I was kind of starting on my journey when I was just kind of going out there being more social. Like, I got so used to it that like I just felt like I didn't need to like go out with a friend. I can just go out by myself and socialize with others. And the
Hmm.
same like kind of goes now too. Like when when I first started going out, after I got out of my last relationship, maybe 5 years ago, like I relied on other people as a wingman and everything. And like now I don't even it's weird because like I just am so I know how to have an interaction with a girl or just with people that I don't need like a wingman to help me out. Like I just think
Hmm.
that kind of like and some of the people I have like kind of done that with in maybe the past year and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of felt like they just didn't have the experience. Or I remember like one time I introduced a friend. I opened up these two girls at a nightclub, and I brought my friend over with me, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna," because he wanted to talk to him. And like I guess like so like I started the interaction, and I guess he was complaining about how it was too loud in there, and from there he just was silent. Like
Oh man.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's better to go out alone because if you get a wing that doesn't really know what he's doing, that could actually hurt you. And
Hmm.
it's better to just go and kind of do it by yourself if you know that the people you're with are going to make it worse.
Right, exactly. Well, and actually, I actually I don't really get too many weekends where I actually where I because I got a lot normally going on, but this so
Mhm.
happens like first Saturday in like a long time that I haven't really don't really have much going on, and I'm actually considering just like going out by myself this evening, because it's been a long
Yeah.
time since I've done that. It's gonna
Mhm.
be well, I guess like I mean I've always when I've gone out during the day on my own, I've still learned to manage to be social. But yeah, I think that's what we have to do. We have to focus on, I think independence is really important, and that's
Mhm.
because I mean that entails like a lot of things. But figure out like what it is you're dependent upon and what you can learn to become more independent on, so you don't have to rely on others. You don't have to. You can go out do your own thing. I think when you're out there even I mean, what I really liked in one of your videos too. You mentioned something too about this kind of taking time to yourself. Maybe go for a walk or whatever. And I totally
Mhm.
agree. And the reason why you told people, guys to do that in your video is because it helps them reflect and helps them like, kind of kind of think about what's going on in their lives, and they can, assess things and kind of figure out what they can do from there. And that's always good.
Mhm. Yeah, I agreed. Like one of the biggest things I want my audience to do is to start to think for themselves and really build that independence. And that's the best way you can do it is just to spend enough time by yourself, spend time alone, go on nature walks if that's what you like to do, or, go take yourself to a round of golf or like go shoot some basketball by yourself. Like just do something,
Mhm.
something by yourself that you can formulate those thoughts and you can kind of let them kind of come to you because we've said this before too, but all the stimulation that's out there with music, media, just TV, everything. It's like it just floods you with all these different thoughts and just these different things. And if you're constantly exposing yourself to that stuff, you start to think that same way and you start to have these thoughts that really aren't even yours. They're placed there by someone else, and it can really be damaging, depending on where you get that information from. um it just spending that time alone really helps you create your own opinions, your own ideas, your own take on certain things. And it's something I don't think enough people in general, not just guys, don't do.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, and I know. I think a lot of it, has to do with all the distractions that happens in life and everything. Some people just they get guys just kind of get used to kind of becoming dependent upon other people to fulfill
Mhm.
them, whether it be just their social needs or some stuff like that. I think that kind of like, because I mean, I was there too, but I think, once a guy can like realize that, hey, or say to himself, well, hey, I'm going to take time for myself, and see, just kind of have that experience and just do it a couple times. I think it's really gonna, help that person grow more, more mentally and be a little bit more confident. I mean, like I just, when you can go out there and just learn how to, just go out there and socialize with others, meet new people on your own without having to go out with a group of people, like that's a big step. I remember that was like, even when I first started doing that, that was like very rough just to kind of do that because I was so
Mhm.
used on relying on other people. But the more I just practiced like being social, and we talked about this in a video a while ago. I'll have to put the link up here. Remember 1653 to remind me. But no, the more you go out there and you go out there on your own, and yeah, at first it's going to be frightening. Like when you go, just anytime you try something new on your own, it's frightening. But if you go out there and have that experience and just continue to do it and take smaller steps and everything, like it's gonna be more easier on you.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like anything, when you start it for the first time, it's gonna be scary. It's not gonna feel natural. Um, and that was my experience. It didn't feel like I should be doing this. Like it was very,
Hmm.
very weird or just like out of my comfort zone. But eventually you start to look forward to that, and you actually start having fun because you realize, it's not that bad. It's not as weird as my head made it out to be, or it's not as dangerous or life threatening as maybe I was making it out to be. Um,
Hmm.
and then you just gain some momentum the more that you do it, and you the more positive reference experiences you have from that, you're like, man, I could do this. This is not a problem. And then it just becomes, part of your identity. You just feel like you can always do that.
Exactly. Okay, so yeah, it seems like independence is like like something that a guy should focus on for his growth. That's an
Hmm.
essential. What would be the next thing? Do you think it would be mindset, fitness? I mean, there's a variety of things. Lifestyle development.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
mindset would be important one
for
aspect
sure.
too.
Yeah, all those are great. All those are really great things. I mean, if I had to pick another one, um, I would say I'd probably say mindset as well. Just
Hmm.
because that's such like it covers so much. I mean, I feel like it it can really change the way you look at the world and the way you look at yourself and just like where you're heading in life. So mindset is huge. I mean, if you
Yeah,
can
because
if you change your mindset and control like what you're thinking about at a day-to-day basis, I mean, it really can change everything.
right. And I do believe like that is a very essential to your mindset because I think,
Mhm.
in order to actually go out there and do a lot of this stuff on your own, in order to grow, in order to make a change in your life, in order to break out of your comfort zone,
Mhm.
you got to have the right mindset that's going to help you take the proper action. Because I think because I think the mindset is like I think it is would be the number one because that is going to help you give you the I would say like motivation or inspiration or discipline to go out there and change all this stuff for yourself. And if like you have a shitty mindset, you're not
Mhm.
gonna like look at the world, and you're looking at the world as like an evil place, and you're looking at women as an evil thing, or you're looking at this as you're not gonna get this, have this in your life. You won't go out there, I think, and create that because you don't believe that you can do it, or that I mean, you got to have a little bit of belief to start out with,
Mhm.
but you got to change your way of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, everything really starts in your mind. And like you said, if you're thinking the world is out to get me, and you think to yourself, "Oh, well, a guy like me, I'm never going to be successful," or a guy like me, girls, they just don't go for me, or they don't like a guy with my height or my look. They just don't like me. And if you just constantly think about that stuff, well, that's what's going to show up in your reality, because you're manifesting that into your world, because you're thinking, well, this is the way it is, and that's how it's going to show up. But if you change the way you think, and you start to have a growth mindset, and you think that, yeah, the world is working for me, not to me, and these women, they do like me, and they can get along with me, and I can be successful, and going after my goals. If you change the way you think and in your belief system, that has a big effect on the way that you take action, the way that you go about your day. um, it just has a big effect.
Hmm. Right, and I think like one of the things I'm working on too is like, so once you change your mindset is you got to be consistent with it. Consistency
Hmm.
is not like the hardest thing to do because like you're always
Right.
gonna, I always can see myself sometimes kind of, yeah, my mindset has changed a bit, but then when I don't produce the result in the outer world, or if I'm putting in the effort, I'm not getting the result, and you get that frustration. I think sometimes you tend to slip back into your old mindset, and when you still got to remain consistent with the positive mindset. And I think that's been the most difficult thing for me as far as working on my personal development, is keeping that consistency.
Hmm.
And but I realize, like, it's like with anything, it's like you have to work that muscle out, that consistency muscle out, and be yeah, develop that awareness and continue to, and just figure out like ways to make be consistent, or exercises you can do,
Hmm.
but or just strengthen your belief or whatever it takes. But yeah, I think, don't I mean, tell me if I don't know if you had this experience yourself, but when you had that shift in your mindset, did you have trouble keeping that consistency? And I think that's a lot of people who are working on themselves, they do have that where they kind of slip back and forth, and really we got to continue
Hmm.
to keep that, and that's what I'm starting to realize.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely have that experience where sometimes, I'm making great progress and I'm doing well, and my mindset is on point. But there are some times where, I mess something up, or I have a failure, or like I did something that I didn't want to do, and that old mindset starts to creep back in. It's like, oh man, I suck, or like I'm a failure, like I'm never gonna do this, like when's it gonna work, or just that kind of stuff starts to pop up. And I I'm learning now, like, as that happens to me, is I sometimes just take note of it. Like, I just kinda, like, write it down in a journal, or just write it down on a piece of paper, and just observe it, because I love the quote that it says, like, "You're really the gatekeeper of your own thoughts." Like, you don't have to entertain every thought that comes into your mind. You can, but you don't have to. You're always in control of what you wanna entertain when it comes to your thoughts. So, if you have a thought like that, just look at it, observe it, take it for what it is, um, and then choose what you wanna do moving forward. And that's something that I'm learning too, is, like, when that comes up, is that something you wanna keep thinking and keep, moving forward with, or do you wanna change it back to a more positive mindset, one that was helping you out previously? And it's definitely not easy, it's definitely not an easy process, but it's just learning to, I think, just differentiate that thought process with, quote unquote, like your old self, and replacing it with this new mindset that's going to help you out.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, yeah, that's I believe that's like a good way to deal with that. And just kind of like, yeah, when you slip back in there, you just gotta, just have that awareness and stuff, and kind of be able to shift that with a new mindset that's going to help you out, and just actually kind of just be about it. Like, with like, so one of my mentors that I work with now, like, he did a good analogy. Like, and it's kind of really helped me deal with certain things when I have like, if I'm if I want to talk to a girl, but I have like get all anxious and stuff. So his analogy is like, just go over there and turn on the light switch, and like,
Mhm.
so like the whole premise of that is like, what, so the whole reason why I had you do that is because when you turn on the light switch, you already knew what to do and you just did it.
Mhm.
And so I kind of like say, I think that same thing whenever I get a little bit anxious about something, or if something should come up in life, just don't, let it affect you. Just go and do it, and you
Mhm.
overcome that emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, and like that's the best way to get over, or just to kind of train yourself to get back to that positive mindset, is
Exactly.
just going to be taking the action. It's just going to be doing it. Um because, the more you sit up and think about it and want it to be different, it's just it's going to create more anxiety in you, because you're sitting there contemplating. But moving forward and doing something about it, like actively, is really the only way it's gonna work itself out.
Right. And I think that's why, like, we kind of get stuck because we sit around there and analyze stuff
Hmm. Oh
and
yeah.
think about like what went wrong, and then kind of judge ourselves and stuff like that, instead of just actually going out there and doing shit.
Hmm. Yeah, it's one of the greatest gifts, and one of the biggest curses I think that people can have, is that overthinking mindset. And I'm definitely one of them. I sometimes overthink, overanalyze, and try to pick apart some different things a little more than I should. Um, but sometimes that gets me into trouble, because like it only adds to that fear, or adds to that anxiety. Um, and the reality is, when you take action, that's what really eliminates a lot of that fear.
Mm-hmm. And just going out there and taking action,
Hmm.
and that helps you develop that focus too, like just by
Exactly.
going there and doing.
Hmm.
So great. So we talked about independence, mindset. I'll
Hmm.
let you pick the next thing that you think, guys need to focus on, and we'll cover that.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a lot.
Independence.
It's
I
hard to
know.
like,
There's a lot. There's a lot that we could talk about too.
but whatever
Um,
comes to mind. You don't really have to like pick the best one. Whatever comes to
mhm.
mind is the best thing. Taking action, just do it.
Yeah. I would say fitness,
Hmm.
and it doesn't have to be the same for everybody. Like, I'm not telling everybody, "Hey, join a gym membership." Like, you don't have to, but weights are a really great thing for men. But just some type of fitness routine, some type of regimen, because I think that on its own, besides the physical benefits of working out, like, mental clarity and just stress reduction and better sleep and all that stuff, besides that, I think it builds a lot of, underlying character traits like discipline, consistency, dealing with adversity, dealing with stress. All those things really, I think they get handled when you have a consistent fitness routine.
Hmm.
It builds a lot of that discipline, and it builds a lot of resiliency, I think, showing up all the time, like no matter what,
Hmm.
and just making sure you get in a workout, even if it's going for like a 30-minute jog or sprint or something. It just builds a different level of character when you do that.
Hmm. Oh no, yeah, most agreed. Like, I mean, I I stick to a proper like fitness routine. I do it
Hmm.
3 to 4 days a week. I had
Yeah.
to take a break for a while because I got sick and everything,
Hmm.
but no, I definitely agree. Like, like I realized because I'm pretty much stuck to that routine. Like, I
Yeah.
hate breaking out of my routine. And I
Mhm.
do have my weeks where I'll just take a week off. It's just to focus on other things. But I mean, I'm back in there working
Mhm.
out because like I think like besides like just being in shape and everything, like you were saying, I think the benefits of just working out, that can just help you, like you say, more clarity, more stress reduction.
Mhm.
I think it can make you more energetic. I would even say build your helps build your confidence too.
Oh, yeah. It definitely does. Confidence is the one of the biggest things it can improve because, like, the more that you put in the work and you see progress, in the mirror and you start to feel better about yourself, you're like, all right, I'm actually getting some pretty good results here. And that builds some confidence. That builds, I think, also self trust because, like, if you're gonna commit to going 3 days, 4 days, whatever it is a week, and you do consistently, you start to believe your own word. You start to trust your own. You start to trust your own word, and that builds confidence in that way. Builds self esteem, builds self belief. Like there's just so many things that come from you committing to a fitness workout and sticking to it. It's nothing but positives.
Hmm. Right. No, that's so true. Like I kind of I think when you develop that, when you have a fitness routine, develop that discipline, like
Mhm.
you can drag that into other areas of your life too.
Right. Yeah, it kind of bleeds over. Like when you're really ambitious and confident and you're taking a lot of action fitness wise, you notice that you get a lot of that energy transferred over into other things. Like it can whatever else you're doing in terms of goals. I think it kind of like helps you um, stay that much more on top of the other things. Because if you're noticing success in this area, you're gonna want success in another area of your life or whatever else you're doing. Like for me, if I don't go to the gym or if I don't work out consistently, it kind of affects my business and it affects my channel as well because like I'm not gonna
Hmm.
have the maybe same enthusiasm or the same energy to do it or just not gonna feel very like excited to go get it done. So it affects a lot of different things. If you let it, it's I almost look at it as like it's a launching point for other things that you want to do.
Hmm. Right. No, that's so true. I think like I know I've ran across a few, like I worked with a few personal trainers and stuff, and that's the one thing they said the same thing, like fitness
Mhm.
can like discipline help you get, if you can be disciplined with your fitness, you'll be disciplined in other areas of your life, and I do see that. That's a very good analogy,
Mhm.
and I do see that as true.
Yeah, it's
And it's
definitely
like, and I don't think about when I'm going to go work out.
yeah.
I have my routine. I just do it, and there you go.
Mhm.
It's so yeah, that's really good. That because that's interesting. So now I just got to like, if I get lazy about something, I just got to think, well, I had a fitness routine, so I just do it
Mhm.
so I can just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, eventually it just becomes automatic and you don't have to put too much thought into it because you've been doing it consistently for so long. It just becomes second nature. And that too, like kind of helps you um, use some of that energy in other ways as well. Like if you're just doing it and you feel like, this is part of my routine, it kind of gives you that confidence to be like, okay, if I can make the gym or if I can make a fitness as part of my routine, then I can make other things as part of my routine too. And it gives you that belief that like, well, I did it here, I can do it here too. And like it just,
Hmm.
like we've been talking about, it kind of flows in just different areas of your life.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, now that we're just kind of like, we're talking about routine and stuff, another thing came to mind. I don't know if this, well, I think, yeah, this might be good, but do you think time management's another good thing for guys
Mm,
to focus on? So you think like
yeah.
some people like think that they can't get stuff done because they lack time. Then they use that as an excuse too.
Hmm. Well, I've heard that before, and the truth is, like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and what we do with that time is totally up to us. So I think at this point in my life, it's not so much a matter of finding time; it's a matter of making time, and that's huge. Like, if you can schedule things into your routine, and you can actually create some type of calendar, that makes a huge difference. I mean, I think a couple of years ago when I started doing this, writing down pretty much what I wanted to do each week, each month, each day, and a time that I kind of wanted to get these things accomplished. It's just it's crazy the amount of time that you can really get things done when you have a schedule and when you actually have things that you wrote down and deadlines you give yourself. You really surprise yourself when you get a lot of things done. You're like, wow, I have my whole day pretty much left. Like, what else do I do? I remember one time I had a lot of things to do in one day, and I set a deadline. I was like, all right, I want to get all this stuff done before 1 o'clock p.m. And I woke up early, did all my routines in the morning, did all my assignments and my tasks. I got everything done by like 12:30, and I had the rest of my day to do whatever I wanted to do. And I was like, fuck, like I don't even know what else to do because I was
Hmm.
so wide open. But you'll surprise yourself when you actually create a schedule and you do things systematically, you'll find that you have a lot more time than you think.
Hmm. Right. No, I think that's a good thing. Like, I remember I used to, just come up with the excuse that I couldn't get this done because of lack of time.
Mhm,
Um, and I used to use like a calendar a lot where I'd actually start to like kind of book in, pencil in certain time frames where I work on this or work on that. And I would just do like, I would just not overwhelm myself with stuff. I would
mhm,
just say, put 30 minutes into this, an hour into this, 15 minutes into this. Like my
mhm,
gym routine is 30 to 40 minutes. So I just tried to like figure that, get things figured out.
mhm.
Then I just like started to do more stuff, and then
Yeah,
I realized like that kind of just starting to exhaust me and stuff. So it's like, okay, now I gotta like kind of go back and kind of figure out, well, what's important and what's not important to do. Because I think like if
mhm,
overburden yourself with things, like I mean, you can just go crazy because you only got so much time. You
mhm,
want to put all this extra time into this and that. I mean, you could exhaust yourself.
mhm. Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of trial and error, and it's a lot of, like, figuring out um what you should dedicate a lot of your time to, and I think that kinda leads into priorities, and, when you prioritize what's at the top of your list, that probably should get the most attention. And then you kind of work your way down from there. But
Hmm.
I think it also kind of leads into a bigger issue with men is like when you have that stuff on your schedule, when you have things on your calendar ready to go, you know what you're going to do. That leads into you being intentional with your time. And I think a lot of what I see in men today is they live very unintentionally. Like they kind of just wake up and it's like, what am I gonna do today? I don't know.
Hmm.
Like they're just kind of going with the flow. And there's a time and a place to do that, I think. But for the most part, like you should be kind of waking up knowing where your direction is heading, knowing what you got to do, having a strong sense of purpose for that day.
Hmm.
Because if you don't, I mean, you get so pulled in all these different directions. Like if you get a friend that hits you up, you get, maybe your family wants to hang out, or maybe a girl wants to hang out with you or something. Like it just pulls you in all these different directions, and you're like,
Hmm.
all right, I guess I'll do all that. And you just don't have, if you don't have your schedule made for you, sometimes people will kind of create it for you, and it just like
Hmm.
it messes you up.
Right. No, you mentioned something else that in your response that I think is important too is having direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Because a lot of people don't have direction. I mean, that's one of that's one of the things I had to work on is just having direction. I'm still working on strengthening that. But yeah,
Mhm.
like I think direction is like important because without direction, you don't know what the hell you're gonna do, and you're just gonna go in circles.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like if if you don't have that direction, it just you're kind of all over the place. You're open to whatever, and it's very hard to be that kind of person and expect to get these goals or whatever you want accomplished, um, because it's kind of like the enemy of discipline, really, when you don't have
Hmm.
that finite place to go or that objective, that goal or that direction. It's like, well, what steps do I need to do to get there? So
Hmm.
it really like it's super important for guys to have some kind of direction in life, that they know what it is that they want and they know what they need to do to get there, because that should really fill your day to day is the steps to really reach your goals.
Right.
But yeah, it starts with knowing what your goals are and what you want.
Right. And do you think like again, like a lot of guys, like, this goes back to like kind of spending time with themselves. They got to take time to themselves to realize all this, or work with the
Mhm.
mentors to get that direction.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's both. I think guys need to spend a lot of time by themselves to really understand like what is important to you, like what do you feel passionate about, what things light you up, and if you don't know those things, even more reason to spend time alone and jot
Right.
down some ideas. Like maybe there's some things that you've always wanted to try but never made the time to do, or just maybe were afraid of what people would think, so you just never did it. Write those things down, just have a list of possible interests, and then just start trying it. Start doing them. Start taking action on it. You just never know where that could lead. It's like, you know, you might have never known your favorite food was fried chicken until you tried it. So like to start trying different activities out, try different things. Eventually you'll find something you're really passionate in and you just kind of double down on that. Um and then obviously working with a coach, working with a mentor always really helps that process. Well, good coaches excuse me. Good coaches, good mentors will kind of give you some space to think through this stuff. They'll give you good action steps during the week to be like, hey, figure this out. Um, and then we'll talk about it kind of moving forward. But that's always a great resource too, to have, a coach in your corner to help you flesh some of these things out.
Hmm. Right. No, that agreed. Yeah, because I've removed. Just anyways, with a coach or just taking time to yourself, you can especially work with a coach. A coach can ask you the right questions to be kind of
Hmm.
thinking. I think what action steps you need to take and help you have those aha moments in your life.
Right.
Why do you think like I don't know? Why do you think guys think more about sex and women rather than figuring themselves out? Do you
Hmm.
notice that? I noticed that, like, well, that was kind of me at first. I just like wanted to go, the sex and the ladies at first, and I didn't really think about all the other stuff. And eventually, when I just kind of got what I wanted, it's just like, and then you start
Hmm.
focusing on other things,
Right.
the desire, the
Yeah.
thought.
I mean, I think it's a maturity thing, honestly. Like when you're very young and you kind of start out and you don't have a lot of experience, I think, with women, you start to just crave that and you start to be like, well, I just want women. I just want to get girls. Like I don't care about anything else. And I was there at one point too. Like I talked about on my channel a lot. Like when I was in elementary school, I just wanted to get a girlfriend, and that was my main focus for years. And it was always, every New Year's, I wanted to get a girlfriend, and that was the only thing that I actually cared about. And as a result, I didn't really get a lot of success because that was the only thing on my mind. But um, it took me a long time to really mature and to understand, like, there's a lot more to life than just getting girls, and there's a lot more to, you know, a lot more to life than just obsessing over one or two girls that you like. It's just like
Mhm.
what's more that's out there.
Right. Oh, by the way, we got to say hi to our buddy Bernie there. He just said hello. Salute, Bernie. Salute, Bernie. He said
Bernie,
hello.
what's up, my man?
Yeah. Bernie is an awesome guy. So, no, no, that's so true. What was I going to say? I kind of got sidetracked now with saluting to Bernie. Had a brain fart. Thanks, Bernie. Now you're good, buddy. But yeah, I know. Yeah, I do think, yeah, you're right. It does kind of, whole thing kind of starts as, the lack of experience and wanting to go out there and, go just have lots of sex. But yeah, like you say, as you mature, you kind of, get away from that and everything. You just don't want it anymore. It's just like
Hmm.
not as desirable. But so like that's when we kind of at that point, that's when we figure out that we got to like switch our how should I say our process, change our way what we choose to focus our time in. Are we going to do focus more on women? Are we going to focus more on making a better life for ourselves? But I think like when you focus on making it's perfectly okay to focus on women, but when you focus more on yourself and making your life better,
Hmm.
I think in the end that's just going to make you more attractive because, like we talked about earlier, you're going to when you're going out there and you're achieving this for stuff, and you're going out there and taking action in your life,
Hmm.
you're going to become more confident in yourself, and you're going to be disciplined to like just go and take the action. So like when it comes to like women again, you're going to be using those same like powers that you manifested working on yourself when you're going out there talking to women.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree 100%. And some guys will take this the wrong way and they'll think that, oh, what are you saying? Like, never talk to a woman again? Like, never go after a girl that I find attractive? It's like, no, like, we're not saying that at all. Um, it's when you solely focus on women that it can be a problem. Like, that's the only thing that you care about. That's when it can be an issue. So it's really diversifying your interest, diversifying what you're focusing on in life. Um, improving yourself, like you said, of your confidence, improving your fitness, improving your mindset, all the things that we talked about. When you have that as the main thing that you're trying to build, then yeah, like you actually increase your ability to go and then meet uh, more women and date more women, and your pool of attraction increases because that's what women want. They want a guy who's ambitious. They want a guy who has things going on in his life. It's like I forget who said this, but the quote is just like it just rings true every time that I hear it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
women are not the source of your happiness, but they add to your happiness. Like they're a part of your life. They're just not the whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really the biggest thing that we're trying to get across to you guys.
Yeah, don't make like make yourself focus in your life and make your focus on making yourself happy, and like instead of making the woman like the center of your life and making her like dependent upon her for your happiness. I think a lot of guys
Mhm.
have some family members who depend on their significant other as their source of happiness, and when
Mm.
they get into bad situations with them, they get really depressed and get let down and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I was there at one point too. Like the one of the girls that I was seeing in college, didn't have uh I didn't have a lot of focus anywhere else. Like I was just focused on getting
Hmm.
getting her as a girlfriend, right? And every day I would kind of like I would be depressed if she didn't send me a text, or I'd be like I couldn't go on if I didn't get a message from her. And when I did finally, my whole day would change. My whole mood would be completely affected by it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I was pretty much relying on her validation to make me happy or to make me feel like I was worthy of anything. And it was after that experience that I learned, I was like, you know what? I promised myself that I was never gonna let anybody else determine my happiness. It was gonna be me. So yeah, I've been there. I know that that's a shitty place to be and doesn't feel good ever. Um, so it's better to do it for yourself.
Right, exactly. So, any final thoughts before we sum up the show here?
Um, I
Covered a
guess
lot today.
yeah, we did. We did cover a lot. Um, I would say, as far as final thoughts, guys, just focus on yourself. Make sure that you're happy. Make sure that you're in a good place mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Put your priorities ahead of trying to just get women. Because if you're always just focusing on getting girls and just trying to get laid or anything like that, it's going to lead to a lot of unhappiness and emptiness. Take it from people that have have done that in the past. I've been there. Um, put the focus back in yourself and set goals. Change your mindset. Get into a fitness routine. Um, do the things that are going to improve yourself as a man and as a person, and ultimately from that place you can then go find and date higher quality women, because they're going to be attracted to the person that you're becoming, the man that you're becoming. So put your priorities where they need to be, and focus on yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. I think we got to do kind of just like take. I think we got to take time to step back and just kind of get to know who we are as guys. Yeah, yeah, like that. Like you said, Bernie, it's never been about the women. I like that, Bernie. Like, well said, Bernie. Rock and
Yeah.
roll. Um, and yeah, take time to get to know who you are. Take the action in your life, and you can still go out and talk to women and do stuff with women. But like I said, while you're doing it, when you take time to yourself and get to know you, and you kind of go and take the actions of certain things that you want to accomplish in your life, like you were saying, that's going to show you're going to appear more confident and believe in yourself, and that's going to show when I think when you go interact with a woman, because like the fact that you're going out there and doing stuff for yourself and acting upon this and getting to know who you are, I think that would make guys a little bit more confident, and it makes the women's just like when you're pure confident like that, like it's really going to help build that attraction. And I'm not saying like all women are going to be attracted to you, but I mean it's just you're going to be able to present yourself a lot more confident when you're interacting with women, and kind of the vibes there and the connections there, like you're gonna have that amazing sex maybe yeah, after going out on that date. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that, guys. And I'll close out now. I'll let you close out. So if you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I will be on next Tuesday at 6:30 MST time, which would be 7:30, no, 8:30 Pacific with Mr. Lucario. We'll be covering we're working on trying to figure out a topic for the show, so you don't want to miss out. And that's like next Tuesday. I'll be posting that soon in here. And yeah, be sure to like, share the video, subscribe. And what do you want to say? Any final thoughts? Where can they find you?
Yeah, if you guys want to find me, just search up The Sophisticated Man on YouTube. You'll find my channel. Same thing for my website, thesophisticatedman.net. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, just search up my name, Tino_Regano. Or you could just search The Sophisticated Man. You'll probably find me on there too.
Right. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I look forward to doing another show with you. But very quickly, yeah, be sure to go to my website too, Command Your Confidence. I'm gonna do a PDF. I'm gonna be selling a PDF version of my book on the website next week. I'm working on formatting everything for Amazon, so you can get the book through Kindle and paperback. So I just figured I've been kind of putting it off the book for a while and stuff's come up. So I'm like, at least I'm going to have a PDF available next week where you can download it. So I will keep you guys posted about that. Yeah, and thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.